Welcome to our comprehensive guide on therapeutic positioning for patients with cardiovascular and respiratory issues. In this video, we'll explore how different body positions can significantly impact breathing, gas exchange, and overall comfort. Whether you're a physiotherapist, healthcare provider, or a student, understanding the rationale and evidence behind positioning is crucial for optimizing patient outcomes. We'll cover the effects of various positions, the science behind them, and practical steps for applying these techniques in clinical practice. Let's begin by understanding why positioning matters and how it's used across different patient groups. The main objectives of therapeutic positioning are to enhance cardiovascular and respiratory function, provide pain relief, and optimize relaxation. By the end of this chapter, you'll be able to describe how positioning affects the heart and lungs, understand the rationale for different positions, evaluate supporting evidence, and prescribe appropriate positions for both acute and chronic patients. These skills are essential for tailoring interventions to individual needs and improving patient comfort and outcomes. Therapeutic positioning is widely used to address common clinical issues such as optimizing relaxation, minimizing dyspnea, improving ventilation and gas exchange, and reducing the work of breathing. For patients with respiratory problems, positioning can also promote airway clearance and support efficient diaphragm and accessory muscle function. Understanding these clinical uses helps therapists select the most beneficial positions for each patient's unique condition. In healthy individuals, the apex of the lung holds larger alveolar volumes during normal breathing, while the bases receive more ventilation during deep inspiration. However, in surgical patients, the bases are often the most common site for atelectasis due to reduced movement and pain. Proper positioning can help improve ventilation and gas exchange in these patients, reducing the risk of complications. Gravity creates a vertical pleural pressure gradient in the lungs. This means that alveoli at the top of the lung are larger and stiffer, while those at the bottom are more compliant and fill more during normal breaths. In post-operative patients, lower lung regions may not inflate well, so positioning strategies often aim to place atelectatic regions uppermost or encourage frequent position changes to promote optimal gas exchange. Closing volume refers to the lung volume at which dependent airways close. In young, healthy adults, this occurs well below functional residual capacity, FRC. But in older adults and smokers, it can occur closer to or above FRC. After surgery or with anesthesia, FRC decreases, increasing the risk that small airways in the lower lungs close during normal breathing. This can reduce ventilation efficiency and lower oxygen levels, especially in the elderly. Different positions can have significant effects on both the cardiovascular and pulmonary systems. For example, the upright position generally improves pulmonary function but may reduce cardiac output, while the supine or head-down positions can have the opposite effects. It's important to consider these factors and monitor each patient's response, as individuals with various pathologies may react differently to the same position. Recent clinical trials have explored the effects of positioning in various medical conditions. Most studies use small sample sizes and repeated measures, but they provide valuable insights. For example, bracing the arms and adopting a lean forward position can improve inspiratory muscle function and reduce dyspnea in both healthy individuals and those with COPD. However, evidence for relaxation positions in other groups remains limited. For acute medical and surgical patients, positioning is tailored to their mobility status and stability. Most patients allowed to mobilize can tolerate position changes, but unstable patients may be more sensitive. In these cases, oxygenation changes are usually minimal, except for prone positioning in acute lung insufficiency, which can significantly improve outcomes. The upright position increases functional residual capacity, FRC, and forced vital capacity, FVC, decreases closing volume, and allows better expansion of the lung bases. However, it can decrease venous return and cardiac output. This position is generally beneficial for basal lung expansion, especially during large inspirations, but may not be suitable for all patients. The supine position reduces FRC, increases central blood volume, and can lead to pooling of secretions in the posterior lung zones. Head-down positioning further increases central blood volume and promotes basal expansion, but may increase dyspnea and the load on inspiratory muscles. These positions require careful monitoring, especially in patients with weak abdominal muscles or hemodynamic instability. Side-lying increases chest wall diameter in the dependent region and improves ventilation there, though it may decrease tidal volume and FRC. Prone positioning is especially effective for patients with ARDS or acute lung injury, as it improves oxygenation by promoting more uniform ventilation perfusion distribution. However, these positions must be chosen based on individual patient needs and contraindications. Supporting the arms or adopting a lean-forward position can facilitate accessory muscle use, improve diaphragm efficiency, and decrease dyspnea. These positions are particularly helpful for patients with COPD or those experiencing significant breathlessness. They can be used during rest or activity to promote better breathing mechanics. When positioning patients, always ensure comfort and safety. Use pillows and pressure-reducing materials. Maintain proper body alignment and keep joints in neutral positions. Change positions frequently to the patient's tolerance and encourage participation in movement. These steps help prevent complications such as pressure sores and promote overall well-being. During position changes, encourage patients to participate as much as possible and use techniques like log rolling. Gradually raise the head of the bed to avoid postural hypotension and incorporate leg circulation exercises. Always check that lines and tubes are not kinked or stretched, and monitor cardiovascular and pulmonary responses after each change. Prone positioning is particularly beneficial for patients with early acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, pulmonary edema, or acute lung insufficiency. However, it's contraindicated in cases of unstable spinal injury, severe arrhythmias, hemodynamic instability, or certain facial and abdominal injuries. Always assess for contraindications before proceeding. Turning a patient from supine to prone requires careful preparation and teamwork. Ensure the patient is sedated, stop tube feeding in advance, and disconnect non-essential devices. At least 4 people should assist with the turn. Support the chest, pelvis, and ankles with pillows, and alternate head position every 2 hours. Monitor vital signs closely and ensure there's no pressure on sensitive areas like the eyes or abdomen. While in the prone position, avoid pressure on the eyes, ears, and abdomen. Alternate the head position every 2 hours and expect some facial swelling. Elevate the head of the bed slightly to reduce facial edema and aspiration risk. Use anti-embolic stockings and monitor for complications such as skin breakdown or hemodynamic instability. The duration in prone can range from 2 to 20 hours, adjusted to patient response. The prone position improves oxygenation by creating more uniform pleural pressures between dorsal and ventral lung regions. This promotes even distribution of tidal volume and prevents ventilator-associated lung injury. Although chest wall compliance decreases, tidal volume may be redistributed to dorsal lung units, enhancing gas exchange and reducing the risk of injury. Continuous rotation beds are used for mechanically ventilated patients to improve gas exchange, hemodynamic function, and airway clearance. The bed rotates the patient at set intervals, minimizing time spent in one position and simulating continuous movement. This technique is especially helpful in early ARDS or atelectatic patients, but requires careful monitoring and adjustment. Relaxation positions, such as the lean-forward sitting posture or bracing the arms are especially beneficial for patients with COPD or significant dyspnea. These positions support the upper body, facilitate breathing control, and reduce the work of accessory muscles. Always tailor relaxation positions to the patient's comfort and needs, and encourage breathing techniques like pursed lip breathing for maximum benefit. In summary, therapeutic positioning is a powerful tool for optimizing cardiopulmonary function, comfort, and safety in a variety of patient populations. The choice of position should be individualized based on patient goals, clinical status, and ongoing monitoring. Remember, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Always assess, position, and reassess to ensure the best outcomes for your patients.